Social epidemics are a part of everyone's mind and life. If you are not already aware, it is the little changes in our social sphere that lead to the big differences. It is the little change at our high school that makes wearing odd glasses, like those from Baby Gap, to school events an interesting trend, or why Kanye West's Yeezy line of clothing was such a booming fashion statement. Subtle differences in how something acts or behaves can create catastrophic differences. Social trends and epidemics like these always start with mavens, salesmen, or connectors of that idea or trade. This is described as the law of the few. These interesting people are usually well-known and outgoing. And oddly enough, the closer an idea or trend comes to one of these people, the more power that idea has. In short, these people are the keystone in spreading the trend through word of mouth. In 2015, Kanye West and Adidas collaborated and made Yeezy Season 1. One of the key factors that made Yeezys so popular were the people advertising for it. Names like Beyoncé, Rihanna, and Kim Kardashian. These famous, fashionable names in hip-hop culture mean something, and if you want to look good, you would try to assimilate opulent lifestyles like theirs. Another reason connectors are so important is because of the sheer number of people they know. For example, when a class of Princeton students were given 250 surnames and asked how many people they personally knew with one of the given last names, the average number of people they knew was 21. Yet, there are about 4 students that knew more than 100 people with those last names. Those people are considered connectors. The last important factor that these connectors or mavens have are the kind of people they know. To describe this factor, the game 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon is handy. To test this, a computer scientist named Brett Tehaden sat down and figured out within how many degrees or steps was Kevin Bacon from about 250,000 other actors and actresses that have been in major films. The steps he found was an average of 2.8312 steps. That means that everyone in Hollywood is somehow connected to Kevin Bacon. All of this shows that a small change in telling the right person can create a big difference in setting off an epidemic or trend. The second law of epidemics is the law of stickiness. This strategy is used everywhere, and especially children's educational programs like Sesame Street. In the 1960s, the founders of Sesame Street wanted to make a program that would help kids in disadvantaged homes be ready for elementary school when they entered. The problem with that idea is getting the kids to pay attention to the TV long enough so that they comprehend the information. There was so much research about how the preschool brain and attention span works that Sesame Street is still the most watched children's television show. On the other hand, if we were to go back to how wearing Baby Gap glasses to school events became popular, you would notice that just like in Sesame Street, it's popular because it sticks to the viewer. If and when you went to a Seahome Mariners football game, you would remember the Mariners section more than, say, the Storm section of Squalicum High School. This is because Seahome, to the average viewer, looked overall more absurd. At this point, some might think Seahome never won a game this fall season, so why even talk about how fashion affects it? The thing is, the people that have made a commitment to look odd in public have created a new sense of what popular really means, as well as what it means to be a sports enthusiast. This goes to show that if you are effective in your execution to get your audience hooked, the trend or idea will stick. A small change that makes something more memorable can create large differences in a trend. The law of context describes that in a certain social situation, your regular morals and values go out the window. This sort of falls under the category of when your parents ask you if your friends jump off a cliff, would you do it too? You might associate this act with a group mentality, but what is considered a group? Part of how large groups work is based on the part of the mammal's brain called the neocortex. As we can see with mammals, the larger the neocortex, the larger the average group that mammal lives or has a social connection to. For Homo sapiens, humans, that number is 150. Once over 150 people, a group can almost never come to a single consensus. At Gore Industries, the company that makes Gore-Tex, a waterproofing element, the factories and offices they make never go over 150 people. The reason they do that is because if you go over 150, it is proven that a group starts to get divided and have fractional ideas that are counterproductive. For the law of context, making a difference in group size and going over the tipping point, an idea or message, can change whether it is followed or not. If the ethos of the group is 150 or less, the chances that an idea gets embedded into their heads increases substantially. You can use these laws of epidemics to create changes at your school. For example, you could use the law of the few and think about influential people at your school. Then, at lunch during student government elections, go up to those people and tell them to vote for the person you want to win. This way, your short message might travel more thoroughly through your school. You could use the law of stickiness in your writing or presenting style by appealing to who you are speaking or writing to. If you are talking to a group of, say, high school juniors, use images that they have already seen and connect it to other images that they haven't seen. By doing this, you can engage the audience more and therefore increasing the stickiness level. By utilizing the 3 laws of epidemics, go out and make subtle changes in your lifestyle that make huge differences. Thank you.